Hi, my name is Mohammed Saqibi and welcome to our CWTC Get Connected Community Podcast to share experiences, promote services and networking and great opportunities available for residents of Oldham. Oldham Children's Trust overarching vision for children and young people in Oldham says, all children and young people in Oldham have an equal opportunity to thrive within their families and communities, and those at risk of marginalisation, exclusion and underachievement are protected and supported, particularly at times of need and transition. Of course, this vision is underpinned by several agreed and shared values. Simply, every child matters. To give a better understanding of this vision and so much more being done in Oldham, we are delighted to invite in our CWTC podcast studio the Deputy Leader of the Council and the Lead for Children and Young People, Cllr Shaid Mushtaq. Cllr Shaid, welcome.
Thank you very much.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
How's the Ramadan going?
Yeah, it's going well.
Feeling tired?
Feeling tired, but we're flying by, so
yes.
I think it's about 17th, 16th today.
Yeah, we're halfway there.
On the countdown.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for coming, and it's been a long wait, and delighted to have you, honoured to have you.
Thank you.
I know personally you do fantastic work. I see you in many events and supporting the communities, diverse communities. Absolutely brilliant work. But there's a lot more to you. So tell the viewers and listeners about your education, your career, and what you've been doing in the political arena.
Okay, so I was born in Huddersfield, moved to Oldham at the age of around 7, so primary school in Oldham, Bear Trees, and moved to Chadderton. Went to North Chadderton School, and I went to University in Manchester where I studied a chemistry degree, and then I went on to do a PhD in organic synthetic chemistry at Reading University, and that was on cancer research. So that was a really interesting.
So where does politics come in?
So that was somewhat serendipitous actually. It wasn't planned. I did a favour going back over 10 years now. So I was elected in 2014. But it was a favour for the current leader of the council, Cllr Shaid. I received a phone call one morning and she asked me if I could attend the launch of what was the Labour apprentice scheme at the time. Because they were a bit low on numbers. So she told me a little bit about it over the phone. She was a young councillor herself at the time. So I went along as a favour, like I said, and long story short, that ended with me being selected to stand in Alexandra Ward and then me being elected in 2014.
Brilliant. So do you think best things come when things are unplanned?
Yes, well, that's how it's worked out for myself, so yes, from personal experience.
Excellent. Well, it's a great career and doing great work for the community. Brilliant. So the Deputy Leader of the Council holds very strategic and political positions. Including, being part of budgets, planning, policies, review, service reviews, etc. What other positions do you hold within the council?
So in the past, I've been on committees. So when you start off as a what we call backbencher, there's like planning committee, licensing committee, audit committee, performance value for money. So the different committees, scrutiny committees that we sit on. So I've been on a few of those just to kind of build some experience, and it's a good way to get an understanding of how the council works. So following that, I was asked to join the leadership team as a deputy cabinet member, which I did do, and then in 2018 I got onto the cabinet proper as education and that was skills. The following year I became education and skills cabinet member. I've also held portfolio for corporate services, and now children and young people, and since May, deputy leader.
So many committees and so much learning over such a short period. So a lot of commitment and loyalty. Excellent, brilliant. So as a ward councillor for the Alexandra Ward, what sort of work have you done within your ward, and what's been your achievements over the years?
So of everything that I do, being a ward councillor is fundamentally the starting point. It's the people of Alexandra Ward that elected me to become the councillor, and it's what I love the most. Because I get out, I speak to people, we support people, and that ranges from individual casework. So at the moment, as you'll be aware, housing is a major issue up and down the country, and in Oldham. There's not enough housing, there's thousands of people waiting for properties, larger properties because of family situations. But it could range from housing, potholes, fly tipping was a big one in our ward. It is still a big issue in some parts of the ward, but we've had a lot of success working with residents. So I adopt a position of finding solutions to problems. Because
that's the way forward.
It's very easy to find excuses and reasons not to do things, but I'm blessed because the residents of Alexandra Ward are so amazing that they work with us. And they want to improve their own communities, which makes my job so much more easier.
Like they say, self-help is very important, and that you work with people, with services, council, etc. Brilliant. Any work which you feel that you've achieved within the ward is exemplary and it stands out?
Well, I struggle with this because it's kind of blowing my own trumpet, isn't it?
No, it's okay.
So in a part of the ward called Hathershaw, there was a major issue around fly tipping. It was having an impact on people's day-to-day lives and quality of life, because they couldn't open windows because of the stench and pests, rats, etc. So you've got children in the house, and even if you don't want rats and mice running about. So working with the residents, we formed a community group, and we've made a significant impact, visible impact on that area, and it's staying clean as well. But again, that's because of the continued input of the Hathershaw community group and the work that certain members of that group do.
And is this why you're on the environment policy as well, committee as well?
I'm not. I can't be, because I'm on the cabinet, so I can't be on any scrutiny committees anymore. But heavily involved in the strategic, like you said at the beginning in the introduction. But there's so much more we do around education, but that's a lot more strategic, and that's like sitting in meetings. But I do visit schools, and because of this portfolio, early years settings as well. So there's a lot. And I'm sure, looking at your experience and the amount of work you do, there's going to be other podcasts with your sport. I think we need to touch upon to let our residents know what work is being done and how they can actually get involved as well. And you mentioned just now the early help and the strategy that you're part of as the lead cabinet member for children and young people, and the strategy for 2023 and 2026. First of all, what does early help means to simple people like me? So for me personally, there's two elements to early help. There's universal early help, which is early help for every family and every young child, and it's pre-birth. So once a mother, a family know that they're expecting a child, that support begins. I mean, when you're having a child for the first time, I have a son. There is no, you don't know whether you're a good parent. You do what you think is best.
You have to go through the experience.
So it's about lovely. Supporting. It is. Absolutely.
These are the things to remember.
Yeah, it is. And it's about providing support for families that might not have a larger family network. Might be, for obvious reasons, feeling anxious about what's to come. And just saying, look, we're here to help you with things like breastfeeding, just playing with the child, because it sounds trivial, but sometimes parents don't know how to play with a child, or just sitting reading with a child, and sometimes the confidence of a parent, because they might struggle to read themselves. It's just about teaching them how to sit with the child, even if you're not reading. Just that father-son or mother-son bonding, and it feels like they're doing something together. So things that might seem really trivial to the average person can make a huge difference to someone that's really struggling.
And to know where this sport is available, who to talk to, and
the other
bringing this awareness is very important.
So that's sort of the universe, but the other element is where families are entering a space where they are now facing challenges, and there's a risk that they may, the young person, child might enter care because of the ongoing situation. So that then becomes a bit more serious, and a different type of targeted help is required there.
Yeah. So in terms of the context, the Oldham context for children and young people in the borough, what percentage would you say we have children and young people, including the BAME community?
So we have a high percentage of young people, which I think is a good thing. The BAME community...
Well, it's our future, isn't it?
Exactly. They're tomorrow's leaders and teachers and podcast doers as well. So.
I like
but I see that as a positive. The BAME community is also expanding. And that's, I think it's a really important point, because the type of help needs to reflect the communities, but also the workforce needs to reflect the communities. That's also not only an equality thing, but I think if we're going to serve the communities, then the people that are coming up with these strategies, that are making the decisions at a senior level and also on the front line.
And it's about maximising that cultural diversity.
That's right,
and to enhance the support that the council is and the services are trying to provide.
And if that support meets the different communities, then that relieves the pressure on services like GPs, like ambulance service, children's services, which then impacts on things like budgets and the things you can do. So it's a knock-on effect.
And it's about understanding your community, isn't it?
That's right.
For example, we deliver how to plan a local community networking event, and the first point of the agenda is understanding your local community.
That's right.
And you'll be amazed in many services, frontline staff doesn't know what's around the corner.
That's right.
And how do you maximize that? And so brilliant. Now, so as part of this strategy, there are numerous services that are involved, whether it's health, schools, housing, you mentioned the police, safeguarding, etc., etc. How do you actually come together? What is the model of making the sport available for the young people, children?
So there's different forums where we come together. Sometimes the best ones for me are when we're in front of the young people. So I've attended a young youth scrutiny board, where I was on a question and answer panel with the Deputy Mayor of Greater Manchester, Kate Green, senior police from Greater Manchester, local councillors. So we were being scrutinised by the young people. So they were showing a video about a police incident, and then they put questions to us. And it's really interesting when you get the perspective of a young person, because they don't really have the filters that maybe an adult would have. So they just ask what's on their minds. And it's always a tough grilling with the young people, but something I thoroughly enjoy. Other forums, so we have Safeguarding Partnership board, where all the partners involved in safeguarding are around the table. Yesterday I had a safeguarding accountability meeting, and again partners were around the table. And I think these meetings are really important, because each service is under a great deal of pressure to do what they do, and actually they're being asked to extend beyond their own remit. So the police, for example, teachers is a good example, where a teacher's job really is to teach our children, but now we're finding that teachers are playing the role of social workers, of nurses, and all a broad
sometimes
range.
You have to think out of the box, and the final outcome has to be betterment of the children and young people.
But it's understanding, so when we're all in the same room, it's understanding the pressures on each other's services, but then also thinking, well, actually if I do this bit a little differently, that'll help the the health service, and the health thinking, well, actually if we do this bit differently, it'll help the police. So we're all helping each other deliver, like you said, what's best for the children.
Well, you see, we can write policies, we can write strategies, but if there is a willingness to improve on that and review on that strategy, as long as the outcome is more positive and better, why not?
Exactly. And reviews take place regularly. regularly look at policy, and that you mentioned the earlier.
And it's great that you're involving the children and young people
That's
themselves to be accountable for, to be asked the questions and how decisions are made. And also they're part of the decision making as well.
They are, yes. So we have Youth Council, we have Children in Care Council, we have Barrier Breakers, which is young people with disabilities. I chair Corporate Parenting Panel, and we have young people from care attending that, and I make sure that they dominate that meeting and they have an input. And again, they're young people, and they don't hold back. If they're not happy with something, they'll just tell it you there and then. I've ensured that they're confident enough to do that, and then we take that back. All the senior officers are there. We need to hear it directly from them.
Yes.
And that's the best way.
That's collective working, really.
That's right.
Brilliant. As part of our project, which is funded by Community Fund and the Greggs Foundation, it's about bringing that voice to the table. And with your numerous connections and backgrounds to help us to help people out in Oldham, the residents of Oldham. It'd be great to be recommended for people to come in and be part of this process as well.
Definitely. I think the work that organisations like yours do, for me personally, third sector, I think should be part of the fabric of everything that happens in, not just in Oldham, but any local authority, because quite often the first port of call when we talk about cost of living, poverty, even children's services related issues, the first port of call often is a third sector organisation. In my ward, we have community cafes in Holts and Alt, and the people that run those cafes are well known. So mums, dads, young people.
You can get so much out of social interaction.
That's right.
Face to face, and have a heart-to-heart talk.
Exactly.
And it goes a long way.
But and local residents are more likely to talk to other local residents rather than a lanyard wearing.
They feel confident.
Council person. Exactly.
And this is great. So the voluntary sector, I've been working 30 years with that, and I'm a believer. It should not be part of it. It is part of it. And I think we just need to continue to value that and celebrate the work the voluntary sector does. What about the families? How can they get support if something is needed?
So
it doesn't have to be gloomy all the time.
No.
It's could be anything, general things.
So that goes back to the early conversation about universal support. What we are now doing is opening 7 family hubs. So the government's give us some money for family hubs. So 2 have been opened. The remaining 5 will hopefully be opened.
When you say they're opened, is there a physical space?
Yes.
So where are they?
So one's called Beaver Family Hub, which is just off St Mary's Way. I think it falls under St James Ward. And the second one is Stanley Road, which opened last week.
Excellent.
So both fantastic facilities.
Yes.
I've visited both. I've been to Beaver a number of times, spoken to a number of mums, seen the actual sessions,
the impact
what's been going on. And the impact's been great. The mums tell me that if they hadn't have come here, they'd have been sat at home, getting depressed. Baby wasn't interacting with anyone. They've made friends, baby's made sort of friends, and it's really made a huge difference.
These cafes and family hubs and various community groups or family groups are so important. I mean, we have a CWTC Wellbeing Cafe for women and men different days, and the amount of happiness, the joy of meeting people, learning new skills, art and craft, heritage is so much involved. It's a brilliant way of overcoming some of the issues that they have just by attending, socializing. Brilliant. When there's a safeguarding concern, how can people get in touch, and what kind of support is available?
So I guess if it's an organisation, there's always or should be a safeguarding lead. Staff, volunteers should have received some sort of safeguarding training. And that's really important because there's often confusion about what is a safeguarding concern, and things are put forward that might not qualify as safeguarding. So there's the MASH multi-agency safeguarding hub, which you can contact if there is a concern. Again, the lead of the organisation should be able to do that on your behalf. Sometimes it's not safe, or there's potential risk to the young person if you go through your own organisation. You can contact the MASH directly. They will then take a look at it and investigate whether it does need to be taken further or provide the relevant advice.
And I think people need to feel safe about this, because I know there's a stigma around things as well. But in terms of confidentiality and how things are done, they're very professionally assessed. And there's a pathway that's available. And it's not always that you're going to get locked up. The police is very supportive in making things happen in the right way. And create a pathway for people.
It's a really good point you raised, because I think these misconceptions can put people off. But what I'd say is, like you've just highlighted, it's a very supportive process.
Network.
It's not a case of we're going to take children away. That's the very last thing, because it's such a traumatic experience for children, and that's not what you want. You want,
and everybody's working towards preventative measures.
That's right.
Rather than taking a worse action, really. So there is an advice team available by the council, and we will have a number available on the screen, which people can contact. So there is a lot to talk about, Shaid, and you have so much to offer. And I'm so proud that you're very much policy-led and very well read as well.
Thank you.
And the work that you're doing with your team of people. And let the good work carry on, and hope to see you very soon. Is there anything that we missed that you want to add?
It's like you said, there's so much that could be said. I mean, we could sit here all day.
I'm sure we'll pick on the right topics and have the right information available for the residents. What do you think of our setup?
I think it's amazing. It's I've never done a podcast before. So I've seen people doing podcasts and watching newscasts and things like that. But it feels good.
We made you comfortable.
Well, that's to be honest, that is a really big thing. I feel like we're just having a chat. It doesn't feel like.
And you had a look at the mirror before we started.
I did, yes.
You're looking good. Thank you very much for coming to the studio, Shaid. Thank you for listening, and let's work together with services and as a responsible society to provide holistic solutions, address diverse needs, and create environments for growth and positive experiences for children and young people. Do get in contact with Cllr Shaid on the email provided at the end here, and hope to see you next time. God bless and take care.